Hello and welcome. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. My name is Jo Macarty, Sales Director for Vysiion, and today we're looking at the improving citizen outcomes through agile and resilient infrastructure. Just 12 months ago, it was reported that the public sector was failing to move to the cloud, despite the impetus of the government's cloud-first strategy and the desire to undertake a digital transformation journey that would improve citizen outcomes. Many organisations simply found themselves stuck, tied up in complexity, and trying to find a perfect solution before they took the leap. To use a well-worn phrase, 2020 was unprecedented. While governments have emergency plans to tackle national health risks like influenza, the COVID-19 pandemic reached a global scale not seen for over 100 years, meaning that almost overnight the public sector had to respond at a speed and scale never seen before to minimise disruption to citizen services, including health and education. Remote working and delivery of services was the biggest shift as millions of public sector staff adjusted to using collaborative technologies. Although we are still in a lockdown, we can already reflect on the lessons learned so that post-crisis, the public sector can be more resilient, effective, and improve citizen services. Some innovative transformation examples that we have seen are Sport England introducing a full digital process for managing emergency grant assessments, allowing them to become the first national lottery organisation to start distributing funds, processing over 11,000 applications and making 7,500 emergency awards in just 37 days. Buckinghamshire Council utilising a cloud-based platform to integrate the IT, HR and financial services to provide a single source of truth when providing services and resources to the vulnerable. HMRC rolled out a new access working platform in just 5 days, allowing over 50,000 of their employees to work from home. The NHS enabled over 5,000 GP clinicians and key workers to access the health and social care network remotely to continue to support patients. This was all enabled within 48 hours through Exponential-e. The revolutionary change in the way these organisations worked is underpinned by technology that ensures services are securely delivered and are available on demand, 24 hours a day in some cases. When faced with the challenges of the pandemic, the public sector was forced to make tactical changes in adopting a digital transformation to meet the immediate rather than wait for the cloud strategy to mature approach. According to a recent poll, over 60% of public sector organisations have had to re-evaluate their cloud strategy as a result of the pandemic, with most saying they had to increase the speed and scale of delivery. A third said they had to revise their strategy completely. Indeed, the pandemic seems to have had a lasting effect on the way the public sector works, with over 90% agreeing that remote working will be a permanent part of their organisation's culture post-crisis, estimating that 50 to 75% of their workforce are likely to continue to work remotely. When asked about their cloud strategy, 48% said they were choosing a hybrid cloud solution. This approach is typical for what we see for those who are transitioning their applications and services from legacy infrastructure to cloud environments, as it allows them to control the pace and, importantly, the spend through a phased approach to digital transformation. From the poll, we know that budget comes top of the agenda for public sector, but cybersecurity is recognised as the next big challenge they face. And with the changing cyber landscape and increasing cybercrime, it is imperative to have a robust cybersecurity solution in place. Vysiion provides monitoring and alert services to help minimise or prevent incidents. Our experience across most industries and technologies means that we can help organisations with the response to an incident. Our Network Operations Centre, NOC, can be linked to our Cyber Security Operations Centre, CSOC, so that we can provide the relevant level of security, monitoring and response to our customers. Our experienced CSOC team monitor logs and will alert if there is an event. We work around the clock, keeping response times to a minimum and delivering peace of mind to you. On top of this, all public sector organisations are faced increased pressure to adopt measures that minimise the carbon footprint of their operations. This is mandated by the UN's 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development, which calls on all nations to take climate action as one of their 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This is where Crown Hosting plays a vital role in support of digital transformation, whilst at the same time offering the most efficient data centres in the UK. Crown Hosting is a partnership between the Cabinet Office and ARC Data Centres that delivers increased efficiency, improved value and transparency of data centre hosting utilisation across the entire UK public sector. The Crown Hosting Framework offers an easy procurement route to access secure, efficient and cost-effective data centre facilities and complement your cloud strategy for both the short-term, interim solutions as you roll out your cloud strategy or as a long-term solution for those that require a permanent private cloud solution. Significant savings and sustainability can be achieved immediately by simply migrating legacy onto Crown Hosting. Even more can be achieved if applications are re-platformed into a more modern, more efficient infrastructure and then located into ARC data centres. One client, a large government department who made the transition to Crown Hosting, quickly started to realise the benefits, such as 66% like-for-like savings, halving on the ongoing operational costs and recovering their transition costs within the first year. The problem is that public sector organisations do not have the resources, expertise and experience to deal with the urgent day-to-day requirements along with the longer-term transformational programmes and simultaneously deal with the problems of legacy immediately, which, let's face it, is not the most exciting work for IT professionals. But Vysiion can help. We do have the experience and the bandwidth to address your legacy equipment and to help you with your medium and long-term objectives. We are a strategic partner to ARC data centres and have helped many public sector organisations migrate their equipment into the ARC data centres and then provide the ongoing support. We have a team on both sites 24/7, 365 days a year, providing support and peace of mind. We continue to help the public sector customers achieve big savings and we are helping the planet at the same time. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that when the pressure is on, great things can happen. Often we are hampered by searching for the perfect solution, by avoiding risk, by perpetrating the status quo. If it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. Let the legacy of 2020 not be the pace that falters the digital transformation. Vysiion is here to help when you are ready to take that leap. The pandemic has forced the public sector to deliver essential services in a unique and innovative ways that can only benefit our citizens going forward. Flexibility is and will continue to be absolutely crucial to being agile and resilient in the face of a national crisis or global pandemic. Let's be brave and embrace the legacy of 2020. Let's keep up the legacy of digital transformation to make the public purse stretch further and be kinder to the planet. I'd now like to hand over to my colleague, Phil Paul, Head of Services for Vysiion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk through the service delivery we provide here at Vysiion. I'm Phil Paul and I'm the Head of Service. I'm accountable for the service design and delivery to the new and existing customers providing direct operational support to solutions Vysiion may have designed and deployed or in support of existing services that the customer may own. I'd like to talk through the key components of our service offering and the benefits we may offer you using these services and some examples of where these services can be used. I have created a service model which allows a defined ownership based on skills and capability while providing the ability for teams to collaborate to deliver a wider service remit. The support in technical ownership is primarily based on the traditional ICT contracts, network operations, as well as the data center activities. The three resolver groups that provide the day-to-day operational support are the Operational Service Center, the Network Operations Center, and Smart Hands. Now, the Operational Service Center is what you would recognize as the traditional ICT managed services, supporting desktop and infrastructure estate with Microsoft certified engineers, managing tickets raised by the service desk, first line activities around the service desk with technical escalations in second and third line for all incidents and requests that cannot be fixed at first time of contact. Now, the Network Operations Center is a network monitoring operation with Cisco certified engineers owning the support of the network solutions in their care. They do have the capability to service endpoints which are not necessarily network solutions, such as cloud hosting server estates, providing proactive monitoring as well as the investigation and resolution. We also have the smart hands in the ARC data centers for the Crown hosting. They provide a wide range of activities from hosting the data halls through to the more technical demands such as racking servers and patch cabling. Now, all three of these resolver groups do interact and engage and provide and do support each other. I want to stress here that the 24/7 365 is not hiding behind an on-call capability, by the way, but they are warm bodies on shift, alive, and alert, and basically supporting the services that are in scope for these service hours. We do have an on-call element, which allows us to provide resource resilience if shifts are short-handed, or to increase capability when required. So, some of the key benefits that we can provide through these service centres. We can tailor the service hours and the requirements to meet your needs. This could be to alert you or your on-call team of impending IT doom, to allow them to resolve or to increase the service hours that you may have in your IT organisation without the need to recruit a new shift or team. This will provide access to you to support for the support of these services. You need to be managed both remotely or within the Crown Hosting campus. We can help manage and increase resource costs that you may incur through extending your service requirements, especially the nights and weekend working, where obviously we all know that OT is or overtime is of the premium, but also to avoid any costly demands of creating new shifts if your organisation are moving towards that IT service hour requirement. We can help in your continuity planning so that engineers are supporting your organisations despite any manpower, man-made or natural disaster impacting your ability to service your end users. The current COVID restrictions is a case in point where we have continued to fully resource our 24/7 shifts. We have not gone leaner on our shift patterns, and we have continued to maintain every single shift throughout the lockdown periods. These are obviously under tight health and safety controls. We do have robust risk assessment method statements in place so that we can look after our engineers and ensure that they are able to operate without a higher risk of actually contracting COVID in any shape or form. During that time, we've not missed a single SLA target, but that is against a backdrop of an increase in demand on us, as more and more organisations have been restricted in terms of getting into Crown Hosting and to the data centre sites. This also shown when we can also show that we can reduce your travel demands, as you can use the DC resources for eyes on of your service to provide any sort of diagnosis or investigation, or to work under of your direct instruction from locations, work locations, or even from home. And we can help increasing your resourceful projects. Given we have experience in professional and managed services delivering a huge number of sectors and supporting a wide range of the endpoints, we have great coverage for all of this. Now, some of the examples of the ways that you could use my teams and my resolver groups may be, as I said, we can be contacted to cover service hours where you may have holes in the times that you may need serviced, or to enhance technical coverage to those hard to cover times, such as through the night or weekends. We can go highly technical to resolve issues, or just inform your team to allow you to be woken up and respond. Our service desk can handle out of hours calls, meaning you don't have to extend your telephone support hours. This can include first time fixes, standard changes to be made, or just purely a log and flog back into your service teams. The IT service continuity management can be enhanced with our ownership while you move to another location, meaning that we've got engineers available with eyes on your systems and managing any outcomes of events or incidents that may occur while you're actually getting up and running on a new location. We can provide monitoring of systems and act as a remote direction against events raised, meaning that at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning, we can actually ensure that we can handle the event of an event or an incident or event that may cause an impact to your services. We can add technical expertise to projects or service teams, even providing that increased monitoring when rolling out a new product or service without the need of recruiting contract staff. We can do those timely and resource demanding tasks such as system patches, the DC racking, and the one we always forget about, goods into data centers. We can also take ownership and drive migration of your DC to the likes of Crown Hosting. Now, that was a brief insight into the delivery at Vysiion. The website can provide more information, but also feel free to contact me or Joe for any more queries. Thank you again, and would like to hand over to Afshin from our parent company, Exponential-e.
Hello, everyone. My name is Afshin Attari. I'm Director of Public Sector and Unified Platforms and part of the senior leadership team within Exponential-e. Today, I'll be talking about improving citizen outcomes through safe, secure, and resilient infrastructure. And what I'll be doing is really referring out to a couple of case studies where we've seen this come into play. But before we go there, what I was going to highlight or refer back to is the Agile Blueprint that we've been seeing in the market and in relation to serving our public sector customers. What is very clear and evident is that there are key factors in play. So empowering the employees is a key drive around remote and distributed working and interaction into IT services. The way citizens and customers engage with authorities is changing with the advent of technology. And also what we're seeing is a greater focus around delivering operational outcomes. So transforming and using IT services to deliver outcomes which support the public sector. But all of that has really required a fair amount of innovation and support and change in an agile way. The principles that we use in bringing that into life is really focusing on agility, flexibility, performance, and future-proofing, because those are the cornerstones that we are seeing as a result of the needs of the public sector. And the building blocks supporting that are fundamentally centered around consumption and use of cloud-based services in the area of unified communications and contact center and applications, hybrid cloud, which is driven by the needs and the operational needs of the authority at that time, SaaS-based applications, but the design of the app and which really interfaces with the outcomes are quite important. And this is the area that I'm going to be focusing on the case studies where we've actually, as technologists, taken the technology and focused on delivering an outcome which supports the NHS in one environment and telemedicine in another environment, supporting the challenging times that we've seen over the last 12 months. So what we've really been doing for many years is we've been planning for the known, and then last year we were actually responding to the unknown. The ever-changing dynamic, the challenges we were seeing around COVID-19 and the impact it was having on operations, and most importantly around clinical services in the health service was quite important and quite evident. The first example, as clearly described by Dr. Pratt, is if I set the scene, we're talking about Southeast London, we're talking circa 220 sites, we're talking GPs where they've had to really protect themselves around and not having to self-isolate or be taken ill. Similarly, having a duty of care of serving patients. So the call to us, to action, was to help Southeast London enable NHS staff to work remotely, because they had to continue with their day-to-day operations. But secondly, having the ability to redirect and manage calls which are coming from patients into those 220 sites, into an environment where the fallback sites could actually receive those calls and treat the patients. So the outcome in question was use of technology in an environment where it's social distancing and most importantly, delivery of patient healthcare. So what we did in Exponential-e is we adopted and moved circa 5,000 GPs and key workers into a unified communications cloud-based environment, which is resilient across 220 sites. We managed to do that, really 2,000 of those users within 48 hours. And let's not forget that this was at a time where ourselves as an organization were moving into distributed locations, i.e. working from home. So we were enabling a cloud-based environment to create a cloud environment to support the healthcare and individuals in question. We've adopted an environment where we've deployed circa 5,031 soft clients, all integrating into electronic patient records. But more importantly, it's enabled the key workers to be able to communicate with each other, receive calls, see patients. And as you can see from the diagram, that's done through a resilient infrastructure centered in around ARC data centers and the resilience that we have in our network and our cloud, but also our support services, which has really been paramount in delivery of this service. So this is the first example. The second example, again, which is somewhat related, is delivery of telemedicine. So the challenge was delivery of telemedicine or taking the clinician into a young offender and prison environments across 130 locations. So under normal circumstances, what you would do is you would take the young offender or the prisoner out of prison to go and see a clinician or see a medical individual. What we were asked, and the challenge which we saw was around COVID-19 or social isolation, was to take the clinician into, or the clinicianer into the prison environment. So what we've done is we've equipped that professional with capability. So it's around having the ability to connect into the health and social care network through a secure environment with applications which allows them to access patient records, allowing them to move around freely within that environment and serve the patients in question. So in both of these cases, as I talked about the Agile Blueprint in the first point, we've taken technology, we've created different pathways, we've really integrated those technologies to deliver outcomes which have been telemedicine and delivery of health services, and integrating them into patient records and accessing those patient records in a way which could serve the NHS and the prison service at a very challenging time. Hopefully those two examples have been beneficial, and I think at this time we go to question and answers. Many thanks.